Right. I want about the
That's not. Wait, I put 67. Yes, 7. 6, 7, 7, 7, 7. Funny to look at. No. Listen, you can stop your phone.
And I
You gotta go through it. Don't say you should go to my I don't say that to your boyfriend.
why would I go get to his boyfriend's messages, bro?
You know
what? Think with the whole thing.
Not yet.
Sweet, okay.
right. So we're going to do funds. But
Wait, can I just try this out?
Speaking, bro. Like 20 minutes.
okay.
It's a price in the
All right. All right. Let's have a quick look at the back. All right. So let's have a look. Okay, so it says here, okay, the asymptotes x is equal to 1 and y is equal to -2 are drawn, right? Okay, and we've got this function g of x is equal to k over x minus p plus q. Okay, and that is, which graph is that? So just make sure with the right graph always. G is the blue graph over here, okay, and the red graph is this one here, right? Okay, and the first question said they want the equation of that blue graph, which is the hyperbola, right? So first thing is what, guys? Okay, we've got the general formula, right? So G, so this is for question A, G is the graph, y is equal to k over. Now, the vertical asymptote is over here, which is x is equal to 1, right? So what can't, x can't be 1, so the bottom must be x minus 1 shifted 1 to the right, the fish. And then it shifted how much? Okay, the horizontal asymptote is y is equal to -2. So it's -2. Are we good with that? Are you all with me, guys? Yes. Right, we're just going to do this for the first little bit left. Right, then what? I've got to sub in another point in order to solve for k, right? On the blue graph, the only other point I know is 2, 6. Okay, so if I sub in 2, 6, I'm going to get 6 is equal to k over 2 minus 1 minus 2, right? So I get 8 is equal to k. That's it, isn't it? Am I correct? Okay, yeah, 8 is equal to k. What is the question? What's the equation of the graph? So your final answer is g of x is equal to 8 over x minus 1 minus 2. We good with that one? Okay, we went wrong, James, and we went wrong. Any questions about that? Right, then, what is the next question? Okay, B. Okay, then B was fine given, and they tell you the red graph, f of x is equal to b x plus 1 plus q. Okay, you've got to find the equation of it. Okay, so guys, okay, just in general, okay, for exponential graphs, so for the red graph, good habit is to get into this order of difference you ask to find the equation. Number 1, put in the horizontal asymptote. So what's the horizontal asymptote of the red graph? Y is equal to -2, so that's q, right? So f is the graph, y is equal to b to the x plus 1 minus 2. Fish? So that's the horizontal asymptote, the number at the end. You happy with that? Then you could sub in 2, 6, it worked, okay, but and you're a bit lucky because sometimes it won't always work. I always look for the intercept next. So what's the intercept? What's the y-intercept of this graph? Where does this red graph go through? Amazing how you use that for. Go through the origin, right? Okay. So a lot of you said the 2, 6, which worked. Personally, I would have subbed in 0, 0. They'll get the same answer. Sometimes the 2, 6 bit's not going to work. Always look for the intercept first, right? So I get 0 is equal to b to the 0 plus 1 minus 2. So I get b is equal to 2. Okay, so what's the final answer? Okay, f of x is equal to 2 to the x plus 1, okay, minus 2. Are we happy then? Any questions about that? Yes. Right. Okay. Next question. Okay, what? Okay. Was determine the equation of the axial symmetry which has a positive gradient. What surprised me of the blue graph, right? Okay, that's fine. Of the blue graph, there was the axial symmetry. Guys, what surprised me when I looked at your question paper, very few of you drew in the axial. Okay. So I'm looking at the axial symmetry of the blue graph that has a positive gradient. Didn't say am I right? Okay. So draw in that graph. Everyone go draw in that. Every hyperbola has two axes of symmetry, right? Okay. The one, okay, they always go through what? They always go through the point where the asymptotes meet, right? What's the coordinates of that point over there? 1 and -2, right? We're happy with that? Okay. So they go through that point over there. Okay. Right. So now what? Okay. What's the gradient of those axes of symmetry? There's two. One would go through there, one would be like this.
Right.
But we're looking for this one. The gradients of either what? You've got to remember it. 1 or -1. So this gradient is 1. What kind of graph is this? Okay, your axis of symmetry. It's a straight line graph, right? So what I said, y is equal to mx plus c. This is question C, I think it is. Okay. So do you know your gradients? What's your gradient? 1. So I get y is equal to x plus. Happy with that? Do I know a point? Yes, it always goes through where the asymptotes meet. So I sub in that point over there, right? So I sub in 1, -2. And solve for C. Okay? So I'm going to end up with -2 is equal to 1 plus C. So -3 is equal to 3. Okay, so what's your final answer? Y is equal to x minus 3 is the equation of this line over here. Got it right, hypothesis. If it's wrong, you know you're wrong. A lot of you are using shift, that's fine. Your explanation or any file or somebody might say me shift. Welcome to your shift. Okay, happy with that, right?
Yes.
He's on way today. Okay. All right, Tegan, are we going to slow down? Okay, right, I can see why. Right, okay, right. Next one. Okay. Done that, done. Right. Next questions. Okay, question 4. Okay. At what annual percentage interest rate? And if you move your thing, okay. Right. At what annual percentage interest rate compounded half yearly should a lump sum be invested if it is to triple in 10 years' time? So a couple of things I would always do with finance. Do a little summary of it, guys. So the initial amount, do we know what the initial amount is? You could pick an amount, it would work. Okay, but if you want to be kind of general, P would be equal to A, right? After interest, what happens to that money? It triples, right? So the initial amount is X. What's the amount after interest? 3X. You could pick an amount. You could have written 1,000 and 3,000. You get the same answer. Okay. What else do we know? It's invested for how long? 10 years, right? And interest is compounded half yearly. So 2 times in a year. Okay. What type of interest is it, guys? Compound or simple? Compound, right? So we're going to use A is equal to P, 1 plus I to the A. Okay, good with that? So then we're going to say the accumulated amount is, and the question is go find I, okay? But it's in half years, right? Okay, so A is going to be equal to 3x. The initial amount is x, okay? Right, but now it's in half years, right? If it was 6% per annum compound half yearly, what would you have over here? If it was 6% per annum compound, you'd write 6% over 2, right? So it's going to be the interest rate over 2, because it's half years, right? So n is equal to 10 years, but how many times would you collect interest? You're collecting interest 2 times every year, right? So n will be equal to 10 times 2. N stands for the number of times you collect interest. Fish. So this will be equal to 10 times 2, which is? Are you with me? Okay, I hope that's not your phone there. Is it? If it is, then we're grumpy. Okay, so I'm going to end up with 3 is equal to, okay, 1 plus I over 2 to the 20. Right, pass me a calculator. What's your process going to be? How do I get rid of that 20? Take the 20th root of that, right? So you're going to go shift 20th root and of 3. Do you agree?
Okay.
Okay, and you get this 1,056, whatever that is. You have to write this down. Don't round it off though. Okay, it's equal to 1 plus I over 2. Now what?
-1.
Minus 1. And then times by?
2.
And you get 0,1129, am I right? Yes, the I is equal to 0,1129, which is 11,29%. Did you find it? 11, sorry. We're happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. In this case, we are not to divide and it's not making it weird. Like, because you know how we can't like when we use like we're dividing x because
Yes. Okay, normally we go, you're right, you do the solution, but in this case we can. Okay. All right. So that's a constant value. Okay. Sorry? 11,29%. Okay. Are we happy with that, guys? Okay. Right. Next one. Okay. Convert a nominal interest rate of 15% per annum compounded monthly to a nominal interest rate of X% per annum compounded semi-annually. Well, they have to generate the same amount of money, right? So we've got the monthly scenario. Okay. And you've got, okay, the semi-annually scenario. Right. And they've got to be equivalent, they've got to generate the same amount of money in a year. Right? So for the monthly, what we're going to have? We're going to have 1 plus 15% over what? 12. In 1 year, basically you're looking at in 1 year. In 1 year, how many times did you collect interest? 12. Is equal to what? The semi-annually is going to be 1 plus over to the. You with me? Okay, from one nominal to the other nominal. How much does that generate in 1 year? Essentially, you're saying that generate the equivalent amount of money. Okay, if you had a P in front, you divide by that P, and they'll generate the same amount of money, right? So we don't normally write that in there. Okay, so now you've got to get to X. Okay, so what am I going to do to this? You're going to take a what? The square root of that, right? Okay, so on your calculator, you're going to go, a lot of your calculator work, it's going to end up being 1 plus 15%, okay, over 12, okay, to the 12 equals, and then you're going to find the square root of that answer, right? You get rid of that 2. So you're going to go square root of answer. You must use your answer button, guys. Okay, so we've got 1,0. Again, you have to write this down and don't round off. 77 something is equal to 1 plus x over 2, right? Now what I do? Minus 1 times 2. Okay, and we get, did you get 0,154748?
Plus.
1548. So x is equal to 50,48%. Are we happy with that? Okay. This. Ideally, if the steps can go well, you print it out again and do it by yourself. Okay, yeah. Tap on it. Okay. All right. Everyone got that down?
Oh my god. I look at it. Oh my god. Hey, look, you both. Okay, well, I'm gonna do. So can we have some the last two questions?
Okay. All right. Okay. So the next one. Okay. It says, Sarah, I would draw a timeline, right? Sarah invests 1,600 Rand in an account. And a lot of you got this right. Okay, but your method you're using and the struggle with when it's more complicated. So I would have a look at this even if you got 4 marks. Okay. So at T0, she invests 6,800, right? 2 years later, so I would write the minus. She withdraws 2,000. Okay. How much is in your account after 6 years is the question. Okay. All of this is compounded, so I'm going to be using this formula throughout the whole time. Okay. Then you've got to look at the interest rate. Okay. What are the interest rates? Okay. The first thing over here is for the compounded, for the first 2 years, I'd make a note of this. In the first 2 years, it's 12% per annum compounded, semi-annually, right? Okay. So it's in semi-annually. Okay. And it is, I'm going to use an interest rate of 12% over 2 in that time period. Okay. Then it changes to what, guys? Changes to monthly. And it's going to be 10% over 12. Okay. Okay. Now you're going to take each amount to the key idea for me in finance is you take each amount to the end of the timeline. Okay. So I'm going to pretend I didn't take anything out. I'm going to take this 6,800 Rand, okay, and take it to the end of the timeline. Okay. You're going to apply interest twice. So what's going to happen to that 6,800? You're going to end up with, okay, I'll go over here. Okay. A is going to be equal to 6,800. What happens to the 6,800? First of all, it collects 2 years interest, right? If you have things in your timeline, you tend not to make mistakes, but everything there is in half years, right? So in 2 years, how many times are you going to collect interest? 2 times 2, right? You're going to collect interest 4 times at that rate, right? So you're applying this formula. Okay? So it's going to be 6,800, 1 plus 12% over 2. Okay? And it's in there for 2 years, so it's going to be to the power of 4, right? That becomes your new amount P. Then you apply interest again, so it looks like time, but you're actually using the formula twice. Then what happens to that money? Okay, it collects interest at a rate of 10% over 12. Okay, and how long is it in there? For 4 years, but everything here is in months, right? So it's going to be 4 times 12, which is 48. So that's what happens to the 6,800 Rand if you hadn't taken anything out, right? Everybody with me up to there? Right. Then what do? You minus 2,000, right? Okay, so you're going to minus 2,000. Okay. But by taking out that 2,000, you don't just lose 2,000, you've got to lose the interest that you would have got on it, right? Okay. So what interest do you lose? You lose those 4 years worth of interest, right? Apply to the 2,000. So it's going to be 1 plus 10% over 12. 4 years interest is going to be to the 48. Do it in one step. Okay, a lot of you worked out the amount there, which is not wrong. It's going to become troublesome though, okay, when you start getting various amounts going in and coming out of that account. Right, you stick it all into your calculator. What is your final answer?
9,880. 416.
Comment?
416. Tim.
Yeah.
So you don't have marks when you make a company.
And how many did you do?
I lost them.
I haven't.
Right, are we all good with that, guys? So what's the key idea? Draw your timeline, set your timeline properly, take each amount to the end of the timeline. Okay. Everyone got that? Okay. Right. Okay. All right, so this next question, don't be bullied by the complication of the whole story there. Okay, so it says here, a tent for camping is illustrated above on the Cartesian plane. The front of the tent has the shape of a parabola, so this is just a parabola. Okay, so you've got a parabola that goes like that. Okay, they tell you the highest point of the tent is 2 meters above the ground, so they give us the y coordinate, right? Okay, the width of the tent is 3 meters. Now you've got to use symmetry, guys. And this is what a lot of you miss. Have a look here, please. Parabolas are symmetrical about what? About the axis of symmetry, right? Okay, here's your axis of symmetry over there, that line. You with? And it's a parabola. They have symmetry. That total distance is 3, right? So what's halfway? 1,5, right? That's also 1,5. So what must be the x coordinate of your turning point? It's 1,5. You with me? Okay, that's just by using symmetry. So your turning point of that is 1,52. Use symmetry and parabolas to help you. Does that make sense? Okay, once that's kind of the hardest part of the sum, actually. Finished? Okay. Then it says to you, O is the origin, find the equation of this parabola. So now, you've got the turning point. Okay, over here. Right? If you've got a turning point, do you have another point? You do. You either can say it goes through the origin, or you can say it goes through this point, which is 3, 0. Either one will work. Okay? So, if you've got the turning point, what's the general formula we use for a parabola? X minus B. There's another way you can understand. I'll show you later how you can use that. With here, Q the turning point, right? Are you happy with that? Okay. So this is P. That's Q. Are we good? So what does it become? If I want to get this equation, y is equal to a x minus 1,5 squared plus 2. Are we good with that? Okay, now, okay, I still need to find A. Looking at the graph, should A be positive or negative? Negative, right? Okay. Do I know another point on this graph? Apart from the turning point. What's another point on it? It either goes through 0, 0 or 3, 0, right? Pick one. Okay, so it goes 0 is equal to A, 0 minus 1,5 squared plus 2. Okay, so I get negative 2 is equal to, somebody square that for me. What's 1,5 all squared? 9/4. Okay, so it's equal to 9/4, and then go negative 2 divided by 9/4, and it's going to be negative 9/8, eh?
8 of 9.
Negative 8/9. So 8 is negative 8/9. Have I answered the question? What was the question? Find the equation. So your final answer, the equation is going to be y. I go back to here, replace A with negative 8/9, and you get y is equal to negative 8/9, x minus 1,5 squared plus 2. Finish. You went wrong, you kind of figure out where you're going. Most of you went wrong and had something to do with symmetry. Okay. All right. So last question was what? They gave you. In B, they said to you that if you take this point S, it's 16/9 meters above the ground. So we don't know the x coordinate, but we know the y coordinate is 16/9, right? So I've got the y, so at S, we know two things. Okay. We know the y coordinate is equal to 16 over 9. And we know the equation of the graph is y is equal to negative 8 over 9, x minus 1,5 squared plus 2. You with me? Okay, so I know that y coordinate is 16 over 9 because it's sitting that high above the ground. And I know that's the equation. You good? So if I've got a y coordinate, how do I find the x coordinate that goes with it? And I know sub it in, right? So we're going to combine these two things here. And we're going to replace y with 16 over 9 in that equation there. Okay. So it becomes 16 over 9 is equal to negative 8 over 9 x minus 1,5 squared plus 2. Okay, so in your calculator, you're going to go 16 over 9. What are we going to do with that? We're going to minus that 2. Okay, and then we're going to divide by negative 8 over 9. And we get a quarter is equal to x minus 1,5 squared. Okay, what did you guys do? Did you go remove the square or did you square it out and then go use equation mode? Square it out. Okay, so if you go square that out, you're going to get, write that at 0,25 is equal to x squared minus 3x. Okay, because you times those together and times by 2. And then 1.5 squared is 9 over 4, which is 2,25. So plus 2,25. So you get 0 is equal to x squared minus 3x. 2,25 minus 0,25 is going to be plus 2. So you get 0 is equal to x minus 2, x minus 1. But x is equal to 2 or x is equal to 1. But if you look at the diagram, hey, why do you get two answers, guys? Because what have you done? On the parabola, you worked out the x coordinates that go with a y coordinate of 16 over 9. And there are two of them, right? There's one there and there's one there. Okay? So S, is it going to be 1 or 2? It must be 2. That must be 2 and that must be 1, 16 over 9, right? So your final answer, what are the coordinates of S? S is the weight 2 and 16 over 9. Hope that makes sense. All right, have a little 5-minute break. I'm going to stop this recording. Hang on, I'll tick marks now. Let me just stop this recording.